Howdy race fans, welcome to my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. Here each Wednesday on the YouTube during racing season, you know, when I feel like it. Racing started Friday on a shortened Mother's Day weekend of NASCAR at Kansas Speedway. I hope that everyone that could spent time with their dear old mom because there was no racing on Sunday and you didn't have an excuse. Nope, no racing on Mother's Day or Easter. It just isn't done. So Friday was qualifying for Sprint Cup at Kansas Speedway with Martin Truex Jr. in the number 78 Furniture Row Racing Bass Pro Shops Camry, putting that Joe Gibbs Racing satellite Toyota team on the pole alongside the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Dollar General Camry of Matt Kenseth, who probably still stinging a little bit from a Kansas victory last October that was stolen from him by that Joker Logano. The first truck race since the beginning of last month at Martinsville, Virginia, came after Cup qualifying with another new phenom, 18-year-old William Byron, driving for the Toad, sitting outside of the front row in a KBM Tundra number 9 there, next to John West Townley in his number 05 Jive Communications Chevrolet Silverado. And even though Byron led over 30 laps in what would be his first Truck Series win, it wasn't all easy for the young man in only his 5th Camping World Truck Series start, because a late race caution made him really have to earn that win. But earn it he did, positioning himself on that last restart to be in front when the spinning leaders brought out the last lap caution, battling for that win. The win gets the Toads driver in the truck version of the chase, along with Johnny Sauter, who was one of those last lap spinning leaders there at the Kansas race. And John Hunter Nemechek, who has a win but did not have a good night at Kansas. Timothy Peters, along with the points, leads the points with the next race this Friday the 13th at Dover, Delaware, about 2 in the afternoon here on the left coast on Fox Sports 1. The Xfinity Series is also back in action this weekend at Dover on Saturday about 11 a.m. out here, with more of the Dash for Cash heat races again this time around. I really like those heat races. I think that's a great idea. Also, Sprint Cup is at Dover on Sunday for 400 laps there on the Monster Mile. But this past Saturday, they were at Kansas Speedway for 400 miles. So I'll go ahead and get that race out of the way before I cover the really fun race watching that I had Saturday evening at Yakima Speedway. Yeah, I watched the whole race on Sunday, the whole Sprint Cup race, and you know, it really didn't get any better with age. The Toad won, and I wasn't happy, but second place was Happy Harvick, that is. Chase Elliott knocked down another top 10 with a 9th place finish, but Ryan Newman, his closest rookie competitor, was the best finishing rookie at 5th. My favorite guy was 15th, and Enum Claw's favorite son was 16th, while my wife's Biffle ended up 27th. Harvick now leads the points going into the next race at Dover, while the Toad's 3rd win of the season puts him 2nd in points. Dale Jr. is 9th in points, still looking for a win. And while we are on Sprint Cup, that winning car, the number 18 M&M's Camry of the Toad, was found to be lacking lug nuts in victory lane. So today, Wednesday the 11th of May, NASCAR dropped the hammer because, hey, when you put them in a corner and make them have to make up a new rule, that's what they do. And, hey, nobody puts NASCAR in a corner. So, Kyle Busch's crew chief is going to get to sit out the next race and pay a $20,000 fine, as well as his front tire changer for those missing lug nuts, or even one missing lug nut that it was in Victory Lane. So, don't mess with NASCAR. There were other fines handed out for other different types of infractions, but that was the heaviest one. And the toad does get to keep the win, and all of that ensues about the chase and everything. So right now he is still top seed with his third win of the year. Okay, Saturday, the real fun was going to the second race of the West Coast Late Model Series season there at Yakima Speedway for the Twisted T100, along with the Northwest Pro 4 Truck Tour. And plus they had the Yakima Super Stocks and Hornets, along with Bump to Pass, but I didn't really see much of Bump to Pass. I was kind of busy with West Coast Late Model folks to watch Bump to Pass. So anyway, we got over to Yakima a little early, so I had time to do a few late model driver interviews because Sarah was nice enough to get me a pit pass. So the interviews that I did will be posted on my YouTube channel coming up real soon. And, you know, you can also see some of my West Coast Late Model related videos at West Coast Late Models with an S.org, the website for the West Coast Late Model Series. The first main there at Yakima were the Hornets, and that was won by visiting substitute driver Scott Burby, who is better known for racing mini stocks at Evergreen and has moved up this year for the new season of their Super Late Model division. So I'm looking forward to seeing Scott again this weekend up at Evergreen Speedway. It was nice to see him at Yakima. Quite a nice surprise there. The next main was the Yakima Super Stocks, which is like hobby stocks most other places. Mike Hill took that race in his number 14, as well as the Dash for Cash heat race earlier in the day. Then came the 30-lap feature for the Northwest Pro 4 Truck Tour. That was won by Jerry Buell III in his purple 55 truck. Prince would have been delirious. Then came the Twisted T100 for the West Coast Late Models with a 22-car field. That would have been 23 cars had Rick Gerard not had some mechanical problems there. So the lineup was a total of 22 drivers that, along with Rick, I would like to thank. And all of those drivers are Ron Morton, Justin Dunnigan, Chad Ayers, Andy Beeman, Robert Mears, Ben Briggs, Michael Brooks, Eric Lee, Dan Nelson, Max Schroeder, Doug Purrier, Jim Franklin, Brooke Schimmel, Trevor Flora, Kyler Condiff, Todd Connell, Buck Knoll Jr., Andy Soule, Greg Coleman, B.J. Tedrick, Rich Peters, and Randy Marshall Jr. Thank you all for working so hard with your teams to try to put on a great show for us race fans up in the grandstands. So, thank you. Also, thank you to all the West Coast Late Model officials like Patricia Linkfield, Marv Bowling, Sarah and Todd Connell, Marilyn and Mike Easley, Jim Wilson, Alvin Keck, and Steve Bourbon. Without you folks, there'd be no West Coast Late Model Series. Thank you for all of your hard work. And I know it's a labor of love, folks, but work's the only word I can come up with. And I know that I mentioned Todd Connell twice, but that's because he has a clone. The Twisted T100 started with Andy Soul on the pole due to a really nice invert. So the fastest qualifier, Tyler Conda, started fourth, while Randy Marshall Jr. started on the outside of the front row in his number 25. The event suffered a plethora of cautions during the evening. And no, plethora doesn't mean a dozen, but it just sort of worked out that way. The first caution came out in turn 2 of lap 2, and the theme of cars sliding off the track was established early. Most of the 8 cautions, yes, 8 cautions in the first half of the Twisted T 100 were caused by agricultural racing. As P1 continued to be in the tight grip of the Honey Badger, number 20, Andy Soul. But about halfway, a pile-up on the front stretch during a restart brought out the 8th caution and tore up a lot of cars. Woo! Including defending West Coast Late Model Series champion Buck Knoll Jr., who spent the second half of the race in the pits. And I don't mean my little show about racing. After the track was cleaned up, the Honey Badger continued his grip on the lead for another 40 laps. Then after a quick caution and restart, the Honey Badger, Andy Soul, lost that grip as his battery lost voltage from all the draw of the brake fans and all that sort of stuff on the hot Yakima night with all of those slow caution laps. Really put a drain on it. So with less than 10 laps to go, B.J. Tedrick in his number 72 car got by Andy coming out of turn 2 to take the lead. But the Honey Badger rallied after another caution and red flag. He rallied with his ailing number 20 to finish right at the rear quarter panel of Tedrick as Tedrick crossed the finish line for the win. That part of the Twisted T100 was excellent, as well as the 18 caution-free laps late in the race. But overall, folks, there were too many darn cautions. I mean, I like racing, not wrecking. So I hope things will go more smoothly next month when they get together on June 4th. Then that's when the West Coast Late Model Series visits the 3/8 mile at the Hermiston Super Oval in northeastern Oregon. So just to finish up with the West Coast Late Model Series at Yakima, B.J. Tedrick, who I'd like to apologize to for spelling his name wrong on the video, but he won a squeaker there over Andy Soul, who I hope goes to Hermiston. Hope they both do. With Greg Coleman, he finished third in his mean green number 13 that he had pulled out from under the mattresses in the barn where it sat for a dozen years. See, race fans, that's what this series is all about. Keeping costs down by making older equipment competitive. This philosophy has produced 20-plus car counts, a variety of talent levels, and some really exciting grassroots racing. But I'm biased because the West Coast Late Model Series has become my favorite regional local racing series, And many of the folks involved with the West Coast Late Model Series have become my friends over the past few seasons. So, go catch one or two of their races this season and see for yourself that this is big-time stock car racing, race fans. And if you can't make it over to Hermiston, their next race after that will be back at Yakima. I hope to see you there. There were plenty of seats open last Saturday night. We would have welcomed you there. In other racing, South Sound Speedway had a busy night last Saturday with Kurt Bowl winning the Baby Grand Main, while Kevin Pegg won the Mountain Dew Mini Stock Main. Mountain Dew, all right. Maybe I need a Mountain Dew sponsor myself. Anyway, Dwayne Swanson had fast time and won the main for the Lexar Home Legends, where my favorite legend driver, Kevin Conway, finished 7th in the main. In the 50-lap limited late model feature, Sean Jones was victorious in the 12-car field. Next week at South Sound Speedway are the Mountain Dew Mini Stocks again, with the Hinkle Home Hobby Stocks and Bumblebees, along with twin super late model 50-lap features. Also, next weekend up at Evergreen are 3 feature figure 8 races, as well as the Foster Press Mini Stocks and twin 50-lap features for the Speedway Chevrolet super late models. Be nice if these people could work together on their schedules. But you know, up at Evergreen, I hope it isn't another wreck fest, because that's where I'm thinking about going this weekend. Simply because it is close, and I get to see Molly Helmuth and Tyler Tanner and Scott Burby race other favorites of mine like Mike Holden and Andy the Honey Badger Soul. So that's it. That's kind of it for this week. Remember, NASCAR at Dover all weekend, with all 3 series at Dover. And, oh yeah, Formula One in Spain early Sunday morning. Maybe Fernando Alonso will win his home Grand Prix. And maybe monkeys will fly out my butt. And one last thing tonight. A special shout out to Thomas Benscooter. Because, well, you know how we all have favorite drivers of which we are fans, and well, I have drivers of which I am a fan. Heck, I'm a fan of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Gary Lewis and Buck Knoll Jr. and Andy the Honey Badger Soul and Kevin the Warrior Conway and Dennis Schaefer and Caleb Pittman and Molly Helmuth and Tyler Tanner and Scott Burby and Happy Harvick and Chase Elliott and Chad Hinkle and Sterling Marlin and Todd Connell and Max Schroeder and Rico Abreu and Darrell Wallace Jr., Grant Enfinger, Brooke Schimmel, and so many others. But tonight, I wish a happy birthday, and I'm not singing it because I can't pay the royalties to the two little old dead ladies. But happy birthday to Thomas Benscooter, because he is my first fan. I don't know how many there are out there, if any, out there on the interweb, but Thomas is first in line and always will be. Thank you, Thomas, and happy birthday tomorrow on the 12th, and thank you for probably being the only other person that has watched all 60-something episodes of this silly little show. That's a couple of days out of your life, Thomas, that you won't be getting back. Well, that's enough for this week. The weather looks good for this weekend for racing, so I'll be attending racing for the 7th consecutive weekend. Like I said, probably up at Evergreen because it's close. So join me Saturday at the track, or catch me here next time on my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits, with me, Stock Car Scott, brought to you here on the YouTube next Wednesday, same Stock Car time, same Stock Car channel, you know, if I feel like it. And don't forget, I will post an old Waterboy Sports Show tomorrow for Throwback Thursday there on my YouTube channel. So thank you very much for watching tonight. Thank you, race fans, as always. Especially you, Thomas. Happy birthday.